What's up, everybody? My name is Parasite. Welcome back to Rebuilding Chelsea. This is the season review and the series review. We're looking back at the season review, then we're going over some former players, some of our current players, look at some of the stats, see how we did, kind of reminisce on some former players we used to have, see how Everton has done. So we're going to start it off with a season review, though. The 2043 season, we won a treble, the Premier League, the Europa Conference League, and the FA Cup. The new arrivals. One of the biggest ones actually being Milan Vidovic, who brought him in on the last day, and he got 24 goals in 16 starts. A heck of a return from just a fourth choice striker. He was fantastic. I didn't see it coming, but he was amazing. And obviously we spent a lot of money on Genovese, 102 million, but he's a world-class center back. I think he's one of the best center backs in the world. A 7.3. They're content. I'm happy with the deal. Milton Leon, one of our most shrewd bits of business, 5.5 million for a guy who got 3 assists and 1 goal in 5 starts. He's good enough to be a backup in the Premier League right now, and we got him and that's the max it can be is 5.5 million. So I think that's a good bit of business. He's our right winger of the future. Steve Tricker's this guy we've loaned out. We signed him on on compensation, like $1 million from Man City, and he looks amazing. 30 goals and 9 assists in the championship. In League One. He should be in the championship. He should probably be in the Premier League even. He's just an amazing striker. He's missing in a few areas, like his passing's not really there. But he hits in everything he needs for at an advanced forward. But other than that, he has nothing else. Like, he fits this role perfectly, except for the passing. But if you ask him to do about anything else, he can't do it. He's tiny, he can't head. He just has no concentration, no aggression, no bravery. He's not going to get stuck in. He's not a pressing forward. So, 9 teamwork, but sometimes that's good for a striker. I think he would be a star, though, if we continued on to save. Andrew Mather, I think that's another really good bit of business. 35.5 million. Got 8 goals and 16 assists. And he shared a lot of the game time with Preben Busk. So, he wasn't even the main man, really. Busk played a lot. Obviously, see it on here, he had 26 starts, 24 sub-appearances. He got more goals, but nowhere near the number of assists. Mather was an assist machine. I'm really happy with that signing. Juan Esteban Murillo, just another youngster, got a hat-trick in his starting debut. So that's promising. Then some more youngsters we signed that I think can one day be something. Cabrera's supposedly a wonder kid. He only has like 4-star potential or 3.5. So I don't know about that, but they got a few games here and there towards the end of the season. So I'm happy with who we brought in and who we sent out. Milan Gavric, 100 million, 6.72 average rating for Southampton. I think that's a good bit of business for us. Obviously, we brought in Milton Leon, who is better in the Premier League than Gavric was for Southampton for 5.5, and they bought him for 100. I think that's a good bit of business. I just couldn't turn down that money. Muhar, 9.25 million, did not play well. Only made 4 starts. 9.25 million for Derby County. Another good bit of business. Monk's just a youngster that didn't get any game time, and Reyna just a really bad young goalkeeper. I just sold for anything. I think he has 50% of next sale, so I think that's more important than the transfer fee because we couldn't get much for him. He's valued at like 5K. And then loans out, just Steve Tricker. Season results, they wanted us to qualify for the Champions League. We upped that and got first place. 22 goals from Pedro Soler. It was pretty competitive. We had a lot of goals among a lot of different players like Soler, Wilson, Vidovic. All of our /strikers /right wingers scored over 20 goals, I believe, or at least over 15. So I think in the league it's probably over 15. I don't think Vidovic got a whole lot of his goals in the Premier League. I think a lot of them came in cup competitions, the cup, and in the Europa Conference League. I think Vidovic was the leading scorer in the Europa Conference League, like, of all players. I think it's something like that, but we'll see in a sec. Arsenal finished second, 20 points behind us. West Ham third. Our former team, Everton, another 4th place finish. They finished 4th last year. They finished 4th again. At least they're getting Champions League. They're not challenging for titles, but I think I set them to put them in a pretty good position that they can continually fight for Champions League football. So over the likes of Man City, Tottenham, Liverpool in 10th, Man United in 8th, completely misses out on European football. Leicester missing out on European football. So some good results for us. Europa Conference League, yes, the top scorer was Milan Vidovic in the Europa Conference League, and we got him in January. Or was it in January? I feel like it was in January. Can I see when he came in? Doesn't say. I thought he came in January, but maybe not. Maybe I'm mistaken. But they want us to win the Europa Conference League, so we did. We won it. Beat some decent teams along the way. Roma, Nice is a decent team. AZ is not a bad team. We spanked them, but they're still not a bad team. Levante aren't a terrible team either, so we beat some good teams to get here. It's not the most prestigious European competition, but it's all we had, so I'll take it. But we did win the FA Cup as well. They wanted us to reach the semifinal. We won it. Daryl Wilson, Gabriel Enrique, and Milan Vidovic all tied for the top goal scorer with 4 goals. Not the hardest route. Manchester United, obviously, the biggest competition we faced. But, yeah, pretty simple route to the final. In the Carabao Cup, they did not care. We were runners-up. An unfortunate loss to Arsenal. Pedro Soler, our top goal scorer. We were the better team, but Arsenal they were clinical. They got their 1 goal that they needed, so disappointing, but I wasn't too concerned. We already won that competition, and we didn't need it for European football anymore, so it's not as important as it was last year. Our biggest win is a 7-1 win over Burnley in the Carabao Cup. We also beat them like 6-0, so could have been either of those. Soler getting a hat trick. Our match to remember is a 5-0 win over West Brom. I don't know why a West Brom match were not good. I don't know why it wouldn't be one of their wins against, top competition, but okay. And our goal of the season was Gavrich, actually, in the 92nd minute. Let's check this out. Milan Gavrich in the 92nd minute against Levante in the Europa Conference League. Starting there on the right wing, had played an 8.3. Mather with the ball. Back to Curtis. Into Savage. To Gavrich. And from the edge of the area, just bangs it into the bottom corner. I feel like we had better goals than that. That's a pretty good goal, but I feel like we had better goals. It's obviously it's added level of difficulty that he couldn't run onto it or anything. He just had to play it from a dead stop and get all the power behind it, but still I think we've had better goals. We are now worldwide reputation. I think probably back to worldwide. I think we were probably that at one point, but our relegation probably started to go down a little bit. We lost some sponsorship money, but a huge jump in broadcast. Obviously going back to the Premier League. Corporate hospitality, pretty much the same. Competition went down a little bit because we're in a lesser competition this year. We weren't in the Champions League. We made a decent run in the Champions League last year. So, best shirt sold, Ring, of course. Soler, of course. Connor, a little bit surprising. Wilson, and Gabriel Enrique is a pretty popular player. That's cool to see. How he lined up. See if this is our best lineup. Vidovic actually is the man they put up top. I mean, he scored over a goal a start. No other striker in our team did that. He didn't get a single assist, but no other striker got over a goal a start. So it's hard to say that's wrong, really. He really came on towards the end of the season. So he was great for us. Gabriel Enrique, definitely the man behind the striker. Ring, Dawson, Busk actually making it in there. I don't know how Mather doesn't make it in. Mather played much better than Dawson. So I don't know how Mather's not there. Could have easily been Mather and Busk, and I would have been okay with it. F. Young on the right. I mean, Wilson had over 20 goals, but yeah, I'm not totally against that. F. Young played really well. Bejan, Genovese, Blake actually making it in, and Alak and Gashi in goal. Not too bad. Daryl Wilson was the fans' player of the season. Wow. Yeah, I don't know who else it would be, really. I mean, I guess it could have been John Ring. Probably should have been John Ring, actually. Thinking about it, probably should have been John Ring. We did win Premier League Manager of the Year, so that's cool to see. Daryl Wilson, also the young player of the season. Signing of the season, Genovese. Goal of the season, Gavrich, we saw. Top goal scorer, Pedro Soler, 30 goals. Ring, 22 assists. F. Young, 8 player of the matches for James F. Young as a kind of a backup option. That's pretty impressive. John Ring had the highest average rating, and most passes completed per 90, Jordan Dawson. Most clean sheets by a player in a season, Blair Ongashi set the record with 26 clean sheets. Chelsea have put together a season for the ages. Well done, them. Chelsea upset the odds pretty much from the beginning. What a run. From getting promoted from the Championship to winning the Premier League and the Europa Conference League. A huge jump in what we've been able to do. I still, to this day, I am flabbergasted at how Chelsea got relegated with the team that I inherited. F. Young did win Player of the Season for the Europa Conference League. F. Young second. Genovese third. Vidovic, the Golden Boot winner for the Europa Conference League. That's pretty impressive. But yeah, I have no idea how this team got relegated. So obviously, I'm taking over a really good team, and winning the Premier League with them is not the biggest jump in the world. Obviously, there's a bigger one getting it for Everton, but I think we did well getting winning the Premier League with Chelsea. If we look at our team detail, look at some of the stats. Possession, we were not that great. 7th. I didn't really focus on possession, not that much. Goals, we led the league with 105 goals, 20 more than any other team. Expected goals, 85, so we scored quite a few more than expected. We scored as many expected goals as Arsenal scored, period. Penalties, we only had 5. Leeds had 10 penalties. Dang. Led the league in crosses completed. Goals from corners, Arsenal 12, we had 11. From direct free kicks, we had none. No direct free kick goals. We don't really have any great free kick takers, so I'm not surprised. Indirect free kicks, we got 4. Clear cut chances, 44. That's pretty good. 681 shots. 312 shots on target. 12th on shots on target ratio. 2nd on conversion rate, so I'm happy with that. Dribbles, 2nd. I'd want to be 1st, really, because we have run a defense on, so I want to complete a lot of dribbles a game. That's kind of something we're focusing on. Conceded the least amount of goals by 2. 2 less than Everton, who actually had the 2nd best defense. A defense which we bought, pretty much. So that's cool to see. We'll look at their team a little bit more detail after we're done here. Expected goals, 24. So we actually allowed quite a few goals more than expected. That's a little disappointing. Everton allowed, what? They allowed 34. No, we conceded more than expected. No, yeah. I'm all wound up. I'm kerfuffled. Conceded the least from corners. Not a single goal conceded from a corner. Dude, my my defensive corner tactic is good. I will show it a little bit, but I think it's good. I don't concede many corners. It's just, you got to play it right, but I think it works really well. Direct free kicks, we allowed 2. Indirect free kicks, we allowed, quite a bit, 5. That's not great. Clean sheets, tied for the most with Arsenal and Everton and West Ham with 16 clean sheets. I think that's about anything. Salary, we were 9th. So 9th in salary, but we won the Premier League. That's impressive. Let's look at player detail now. Most goals, Craig Doyle, 35. That guy's ridiculous. Craig Doyle, 35 goals and 38 appearances. That is nuts. And he's pretty dang good, but he's no better than what we have. He's no better than Soler. He can't pass. He's got good off the ball, though. Good technique. He's 30 years old. I don't know how he got that many goals. Pedro Soler, 2nd in the top goal scorers with 22. And 24 appearances is pretty impressive. He started off well, then went on a terrible cold streak. But he came back towards the end of the season, started banging in goals again. He's pretty dang good. Maybe he's not that much better than that other guy. Looking at him again here, he only has 12 passing. 18 technique, though, is pretty nice, and 19 off the ball, so 18 finishing as well. Pedro Soler is a beast. Daryl Wilson, 3rd in the top goal scorers. 19 goals and 24 appearances from mostly the right wing. That's really impressive. He developed into a superstar in this save. In the 2 years we were here, Kaiwak and Jones see 10th on the top goal scorers, 14 goals. That's cool to see. Chris Ewald, another guy they signed, not one of my signings, but 16 goals for him. That's pretty good. Expected goals, Soler, 16 expected goals. Wow. So he scored 6 more than expected. That's pretty good. Daryl Wilson, only 10 expected, so he scored quite a bit more. He scored 9 more than expected. So Daryl Wilson was pretty clinical. We get 2nd and 3rd in the average minutes per goal. Connor's 6th. He's been such a good backup for us. Conversion rate, Milan Vidovic and then Daryl Wilson for the best conversion rates. Didn't get any free kicks. Penalties, Ewald did have 6 penalties for him. So they scored 4 for us. Scored all 4 that we took, so that's good to see. Good to see we had a good penalty taker. John Ring led in assists per 90. Actually, assists in general. John Ring tied for the lead with Sidney and Braulio Allegria from Tottenham. Andrew Mather up there too, 10th. And even though he, like I said before, he rotated in quite a bit, so that's impressive. Ring had the most assists per 90, though. Mather's up there, too, 4th. Dawson, 7th, actually. That's surprising. How many assists did he get? 7 assists in the league. A little bit less than last season, but obviously this is a jump up in competition. He didn't get a single assist in a cup competition, so 7 total assists on the season. Gabriel Enrique, 0.32 assists per 90. Not bad. Key passes. Who had the most key passes? Gabriel Enrique. And then John Ring. John Ring is so good. Clear-cut chances created. Andrew Mather. Marcus Connor. John Ring. Anything else? Dribbles made. Anyone make a lot of dribbles? No. Chris Ewald again up there. He must have been a pretty good signing for them. He's on all of these lists. Dribbles per 90. Darrell Wilson. He's a pretty good dribbler, so he probably should be on there. We never are going to be in any of these tackle things just because they attack on us so little. Conceded. Javier Veras conceded 16 goals, but how many? Only 13 appearances, so Gashi obviously conceded the least amount of goals. 0.81 conceded per 90. 15 clean sheets. That's a good season. Pablo Lewandowski led all players with 17 clean sheets. He's a ridiculous goalkeeper, though. Mesalongas is up there, tied with Gashi. 15 clean sheets. Good to see him up there. Save ratio. Mesalongas second at 79%. Gashi's not great. Only 70%. So he didn't have a ridiculous season, really. He had a good season, but I think if we were going forward, that might be a position we want to improve. He's obviously pretty good. I looked in the market and I couldn't find anything better, so he's 31 years old, though, so obviously we need to find a long-term option, but that's going to be the season stats. Let's take one look at Everton. Obviously, they finished 4th in the league. If we look at their schedule, how'd they do in the Champions League? Looks like they got knocked out. Or no, they went to the first knockout round. Who'd they all have in their group? They had Atletico Madrid, Porto, and Stade Rennais. They must have finished. Let me see. They must have finished second to Atletico Madrid in their group. I would expect. Yes, second to Atletico Madrid. And the first knockout round, they faced Lazio. They won 4-1 in the first leg and then lost 5-0 to get knocked out in the Champions League first knockout round. That's disappointing. They lost in the FA Cup quarterfinal to Man United. They lost their last 2 matches of the season. They might have finished a little bit further up if they didn't lose those last 2 matches. They lost in the EFL Cup third round against Aston Villa. Look at some of their players. Mesalongas is still their goalkeeper. He was a great goalkeeper for us, too. I think Gashi's better, but he's pretty good. Gashi's definitely better. Jamie Marshall and Paulo Sousa was their long-term center-back partnership, and they obviously conceded one of the fewest goals on the season, so I think I made a couple of pretty good signings there. Jamie Marshall doesn't look absurd, but for an Englishman, he's a solid, center-back option. Paulo Sousa, I really liked. Obviously, technically, he's not amazing. Only 13 marking, 13 tackling. But he's got the positioning. He's got amazing mentals, and he's got amazing physicals. So I really like Paulo Sousa. I think that was a good signing. I think he was our first signing for $18 million from Lazio. I think that's a good deal. Obviously, they got him for cheap, $275K, but I still think it's a good signing for us. Thomas Duffy's still starting at left back. He looks just amazing, especially a non-foreigner. He's just good at everything. He's so well-rounded. It's so hard to find such well-rounded fullbacks when you're getting regions. Obviously, to start off, there's a lot of good fullbacks in the league, real players. But once you start getting regions, and the fullbacks are only regions, they're usually either really good defensively or really good offensively. Rarely are they both. But Thomas Duffy is both. He's very balanced, very good in every single area: technical, mental, physical. A lot of money we paid for him, $65 million, but I think it's definitely worth it for a non-foreigner. I think he would have went on to be a superstar player. He's obviously one of the better left backs in the world. If we compare him with what's our left? Alak. I think Alak's probably better, but it's not significant. Alak's a little bit better, but it's not by a lot. He's obviously much better aerially, but that's not a huge deal for a left back. Thomas Duffy is a stud. David Morgan we didn't bring in. Hallison Bruno was just a youngster we bought, and he really turned out to be a huge player for Everton. He looks so good for a defensive midfielder. 15 passing as well. So see how he did on the season. 28 appearances, 3 assists, 6.91 average rating. So look at these other guys too. I forgot to take a look. Only 3 assists from Thomas Duffy. A pretty disappointing season for him this year, actually. A 6.79 average rating. Sousa played a 6.9. Marshall played a 6.91. So, not too bad. Olaru never got on with us. He looks like he should be good. He's got really good mentals and really good physicals. And some really good technicals. 14 finishing for a central midfielder is good. He get on this season? 6.86. He's just an average player. Like, he did well in the championship for us for the first season. 5 goals, 10 assists. But in the Premier League, he's just an average Premier League player. 6.8s all over the board. Chris Ewald is a player they signed. Orlov. So, any other players? Benjamin Zigrovic. Obviously a player that was there when we first took over. So, and we had him at Chelsea too. So, a player we've had for quite a bit of this series. 3 of the 4 years. Got on fine at Everton this last year. Did well for us. 3 goals, 8 assists in the championship. I think he can definitely do it at the Premier League level. Like a 7.26 in our first season back in the Premier League. The year we won the Premier League. So I think he's a good player. Not 29 years old though. Getting to the twilight of his career. He was our best midfielder when we were there though. Sepalak, a youngster we signed that's kind of developed into a rotation player for them, I think. 18 appearances, 3 goals, 5 assists. 7 average rating. They might be playing him on the wing too. If I can look at tactics. They put him a little bit on the wing, but mostly at striker. I think 22 years old. I don't know if he has a whole lot more potential to reach, but he's a solid rotational player in the Premier League. He's got 14s or 13s in about everything. 18 dribbling too is really nice. Myrov, probably the favorite player I signed. Even though he never really did it for us, I just think he looked like a superstar. Like, I don't know what he is. Like, he can play box to box amazingly. He's got amazing work rate and stamina. He can play deep line playmaker amazingly. He's got 18 passing, 18 vision. He can play any role, I feel like, other than ball winning midfielder. He can play any other role in a team. He's so well rounded. I was so happy with that signing. I really wanted to get him at Chelsea, but they just would not let him go for a reasonable amount. He had a pretty decent season, 6.95. So yeah, I really like Myrov. Who else do they have? Barasine. I don't know if he's just one of those players, again, the fullback that is only good at like one thing, and that's physical really for him. He's okay technically defensively, but he does not much going forward. He never really developed as I had hoped. Like, he had a lot to start from with his mentals and his physicals, but he just never grew his technical game. Barely played for them last year. Only 8 appearances. 7.08, so he played well when he did play. Kai Connor is just a youngster. Did I sign him? No, they signed him. Okay. The other guy that they signed didn't get a whole lot of game time. Jorgen Kaltoft, another one of my favorite signings. He did amazingly for us when he first came in. 21 goals, 4 assists. Never really did it again in the Premier League. He had another good... He actually had a better season the year after in terms of average rating. But he's worse than... Well, he had more assists, but he's way fewer on goals. So, I don't know. Where are they playing him? They're playing him at striker mostly, so... That's not really that good for playing at striker. I don't think he's a striker either with 12 finishing. I think he's definitely an inverted winger or inside forward. He, again, never really developed quite like I had hoped. Like, he never really developed these technicals. His finishing, first touch, long shots. Some of his mentals never really developed. His physicals never really got much better. So, I think he's a decent player right now, but not quite what I had hoped. McFarland barely played for us. That's one of their players. Kai Watkins-Jones. I had so many of my favorite signings. I think he was my best signing. Of all the players, I think he was the best. 11 million for a non-foreigner. Banged in 25 goals in the championship. Then it was at least a 10-goal a game score. Or 10-goal a season score in the Premier League. 11 assists in our first season, our championship winning season. I think he would have been amazing in a front two partnership. I don't think he's like a solo striker. I don't think he's never going to bang in buttloads of goals. Like, obviously in the Premier League. He can do it in the championship, but in the Premier League, he's never going to score buttloads of goals, but he's got that ridiculous teamwork. 18 teamwork. His passing isn't ridiculous, but he does have good finishing, but he's just inconsistent, so I feel like he's better in a front two. But he's just amazing. I love Kai Watkins-Jones. I would have considered signing him, but they wanted a lot of money. Players loaned out. Alexander Douglas was a huge player for this team. Again, he's really good. Was there when we joined. Did not do well last season in the Premier League. A 6.63 average rating. So, he did well for us in our first season. I mean, he did okay. 5 goals, 5 assists. He was good in their second season, though, but he was good in the championship, 17 goals, but I don't know if he's really a Premier League caliber player. Vidovic, obviously, the loan to us. Erivelton, another player that didn't really develop. Like, I say that, he looks ridiculous. He did kind of develop. Like, he's got some misses places in his mentals, but 17 off the ball, 16 vision, 14 passing, 16 technique, 16 finishing for a central midfielder. He's ridiculously fast as well. Doesn't really have much defensively, but as an attacking midfielder, I think he's amazing. Obviously, he played for Wolfsburg. They've loaned him out both seasons. He's done okay in the Bundesliga. I think he just couldn't hold a candle to David Meyerov. We signed them at the same time. Meyerov just so much better player. Eliasson, a player we never really got to see for us. We signed him in right before we left. I think he's going to eventually be a really good winger. Still only 20 years old. Started for Man United for a lot of the season, so. And then some players that have left. Let's look at I put them all into my short list. Players that have left Everton. Celso Marheros. I really like Celso as well. He never had good passing, but he's such a good defender. Like, such a good defensive option. Just amazing mentally. Amazing physically for a ball-winning midfielder. He has literally everything 16 or above for a ball-winning midfielder in the physical department. He's just such a good ball winner. He went to Hertha for $47 million, and he played well in the Bundesliga. Petr Mikal, I would never have let him leave because he's a homegrown player, but they sold him to Dynamo Zagreb for $39 million. I mean, it's hard to turn down that kind of money. He dominated in Croatia, though. 14 goals, 5 assists. So, yeah, he was pretty good for us. How did he do in our first season back in the Premier League? Yeah, he was not good. So, he actually played well in their next season in the Premier League. He didn't play well for us in the Premier League. Parfeni and Gabo didn't play a whole lot for us, but as a backup option, he was okay. 14 appearances in the championship. Did not play that well. They sold him to Burnley for $16 million. He actually got an assist against us, which was annoying. Kieran Duffy, just a depth left back for us. Went to Besiktas eventually on $5 million. I probably would have done the same. He barely played. Even in the championship, he barely played for me, and when he did, he was awful. But he could play both fullback positions, so he was useful, and center back. So he was just a useful squad player. Luan Ferreira, kind of on the older side, but a solid defensive midfielder. Said he could play center back, but I don't think I ever played him there. Really good mentally. Went on a free to Internacional, back to Brazil. Never really did it in the Premier League. Really in his whole career, he never really did it in the Premier League. Ramon, obviously, we lost him on a free in our last season there. He did okay in France in Ligue 1. He did pretty well for us in the championship, but he was not very good in the Premier League. Joseph Diop, a guy that he looks amazing, but he just never could do it. I don't think he really did it for Burnley either. 6.66 in his final season there. $65 million is an absolute steal. That was a great bit of business we did, especially because he's 28 years old now. He's just not a good player for some reason. I guess maybe it's because his physicals aren't really that great, but he feels like he should have everything for a deep line playmaker. He just didn't do it. I tried him there and everything. Albio Arias, left back we signed. He's pretty solid, just not ridiculous. I mean, the fact that we won the Premier League with that guy. I know they signed him. He was already there when I joined. That's right. 6.89 in the Premier League. Played well in the championship, but we had, compare him to, Alak. That's how much better this Chelsea team was than that Everton team. That guy started for us and won the Premier League. Unbelievable. I'm really surprised what we did. Gavin Shewan, just a depth center back. I thought was useful because he was homegrown. They sold him to Genk for $8.25 million. He's never really gotten on. He did okay in the championship and in the Premier League, so useful depth piece that I would have held on to. Jorge Perez, we sold to Leicester for $24 million. He played well in their first season, did not play well in their second. He never really did it for us either. 6.94 in the championship, 6.8 in the Premier League, barely played. I just wasn't a huge fan of Jorge Perez. So Quintero, we sold to Young Boys. He was okay. He upset me, and so he had to be sold. $25 million. They sold him for a loss, but he did okay in the Premier League, 7.04. He never really did in the championship. He's been pretty good in Switzerland, though. So 32 years old, though. He was on the older side, so I'm not against. There's no problem selling him. Dussel, did this guy even make an appearance for us? No. He didn't make a single appearance for us. He was loaned out while we were in the championship. Didn't make a single appearance at Everton. Iffy, up and down kind of career with Greece. $17.25 million for that guy's. I know they bought him for 29, so that's not great. But he could have been a useful depth piece because he can play anywhere in defensive and down the middle. But he just got upset because he wasn't playing enough. Obviously, he didn't play at all, so I kind of can see. Miniconi, another youngster we signed. Well, not really youngster. 32 years old. Another old player that we sold, that is, to Burnley for $50 million. He played well. 10 goals, 15 assists in his first season there. And okay in the second season. He did good in the championship, but he was our best winger in the championship. But he just doesn't look that good. Like, he just really doesn't. Obviously, he's probably gone down a little bit because he's 32 years old. But I think to get $50 million for him, selling him when he was at his peak was the right thing to do. We had better. Lesniak, another player I really liked. Defensive midfielder. He's 34 now, though, playing for Wolves. Did not do very well this last season. We sold him to Burnley for $20 million. We just had younger options. Obviously, we brought in Celso, so we didn't really need him. And then finally, Ross Jack Monroe, another depth option at left or right back and center back. He's right-footed. I don't know why he's natural at left back. 35 years old now. To get 19, basically $20 million for him, we made a loss again, but we didn't sign him. To make $20 million for him, I think was a good bit of business. They never should have signed him in the first place for being a guy that's like 32, 33 years old. So that's about it. That is all of our former players. That is Everton, the former team. That is Chelsea. I think that pretty much ties a bow on the series. It was great. I really enjoyed it. I think we did really well to win the Premier League with Everton the first season. I think that's one of the biggest accomplishments I've ever done in playing Football Manager. To win to win the Premier League in the first season being promoted from the Championship with a team of Everton's quality. I feel like we really overperformed. I know the rest of the league really underperformed. If we look at our league table when we won the league, we won it on 74 points. So everyone else really underperformed, but we got the wins we needed to get. Only drew 5 games. We did lose 10. But yeah, I feel like it was pretty lucky, but I'll take it. There's the year Chelsea got relegated. 9 wins, 11 draws, 18 losses. 38 points they got relegated with, which would that have kept them up in any other season? Would have kept them up in this season. And would have kept them up in this season. So they got a little bit unlucky. Like, the top teams might have underperformed when we won it, but the bottom teams played well. Yeah, I guess because they were taking so many points off the top teams. So, yeah, they wouldn't have gotten relegated any other season, but unfortunate for them, they got relegated. We won the league. Then we took them over. Everton finished 4th. We got promoted again, and we won the league. 105 goals, 32 against, 73 goal difference. Yeah, what a series. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. If you've made it this far, why don't you like the video, subscribe, and click the bell. Links to all my socials are also in the description. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you for the next series.